Hello and welcome to From the Editor. I'm Mike Shearer, Executive Editor of the Columbus Dispatch at dispatch.com. And we're here again to talk about our Sunday cover story that's appearing in the newspaper this weekend. And I'm here today with Sophia Veneziano, one of our reporters, who has authored our cover story on the tragic toll of gun violence in Columbus. And welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Glad you're here. So I always start out by asking our reporters who join me for these conversations about how long you've been at the Dispatch and what your role is, and you have a very unique role here. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
About what your reporting involves and what you're doing here.
Yeah. So, like you know, but others may not, I'm currently funded by the Columbus Foundation, the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation, to promote good news in the community. So I have a weekly series on people that are serving, giving back, and showing kindness to the community. And then we try to get as much good news as we can throughout the week otherwise.
Yeah.
Also write for Columbus Monthly and Columbus CEO. Don't
Yes.
leave them out.
Yes.
As a part of the grant.
Yes.
And then this story that we're going to chat about is kind of looking at the people who have experienced gun violence in their own lives and are working to make a difference as a result.
Trying to build kindness out of these awful situations.
Yes, especially ones out of their own personal lives.
Yeah. And we're very grateful to the foundation for creating this position and working with us. And I should point out all Sophia's work is independently handled by the Dispatch, despite the funding. So we have that authority on the content, but also it also affords Sophia some opportunities to get outside of that scope a little bit and work on projects like this one. So let's dive into your story that's running this week.
Absolutely.
So obviously, gun violence has been a significant issue in our country for quite a while now, and really peaked in the COVID days of 2020 and the years immediately after that, excuse me. And so we asked Sophia to kind of sit down and look at talking to people who are working to make a difference in the community on this subject and helping families that have people involved in gun violence through the situation, which is obviously very difficult to do. And I was really struck by the opening of your article here. You interviewed the attendance officer at one of the Columbus City Schools high schools, and she told you that she has lost 15 students to gun violence, victims and perpetrators of gun violence that are no longer students there or stopped attending because of these situations.
Yeah,
that's hard to. That really brings it home to me.
Yes, and even just chatting with her. She said it so casually just because that's the reality there. It was just almost an offhanded comment, but it really stuck with me too in that moment of that this is her lived experience. And not only does she know people that have passed, students that have passed, these kids, but also the ones who've picked up the gun and pulled the trigger too.
Yeah, it's amazing. Her quote, "I signed up to do attendance. I didn't sign up to get my heart broken."
Yeah.
What a quote. I mean, this really sums up what's happening. And I think that our goal in the story was to put more of a human face on these shootings that have been unfortunately so frequent that it's hard for us to cover every one of them, let alone add the depth to that coverage of telling the story of the people involved. And oftentimes when tragedies like this first happen, people don't want to talk to us. It's too raw and too fresh for them to talk to us. So
absolutely,
you've gotten a chance to do that here. And the other thing that comes next in your story is 939 people were killed in Columbus since 2019. Mostly by gun violence and shootings. I mean, that's another staggering number when you think about it. So, tell me about when you went into this. What did you expect to find? What did you find? What did you learn from this whole experience? I guess
that's a great question, Mike. Honestly, I kind of went into it with obviously knowing the goal was just connecting with people and, like you said, putting a face to it, really getting that human interest side of it. But what honestly struck me was it's been this almost like as any good story, it's almost been like a puzzle piece or a puzzle that's all come together.
Yeah.
And all the inner pieces have just woven together in just this network of resources that have come out of trauma and lived experience, and just the incredible resiliency of these folks who have gone through things that, I mean, I couldn't even imagine walking through.
Yeah. And
have said, okay, I don't want another mom to experience this. I don't want another cousin to experience this, attendance officer to experience this, to do the work to change it. And obviously, we've been celebrating that things have gotten better, but things are still struggling here in Columbus. And obviously, there's the shooting on July 4th, and CPD put out a statement saying we need all hands on deck for this. So it's still, the work is still, ongoing.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people, and this is kind of a old-fashioned statement perhaps, but it's when older people were kids, they settled fights with fists, and yes, there were injuries, and it wasn't a good situation all the time, but it was not involving a gun, which is obviously a far more deadly situation. So that issue is pervasive, obviously. So I was also struck by one line here too. This is your writing here. Each victim was someone's child with a name and story. In many cases, they live on through the advocacy of those who love them. Yeah. So let's talk about this advocacy a little bit here. You had programs like Think, Make Life Youth.
Yes.
That's hard to say.
Yes.
I just realized. Piloted a program called Guns Down at Independence High School, which was the high school we were talking about a few minutes ago. I didn't say that then. But so tell me about these programs that are out there and what they're accomplishing and how people are supporting them.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of all sprung out of, these people's stories and just the great need for it. So at Independence and a couple other spots as well, Think, Make, Live Youth, they have several different programs. They have the UP program, which is actually for young adults. So that's post-high school, helping people, get their criminal records expunged and change things around as young adults. But then at the high schools and also Huckleberry House, they have the Guns Down program, which honestly is just incredible. And I stumbled upon it because they have these summits for the students to come together and learn skills and kind of build community. And I actually tried to go to it as, thinking it would be great for the story. Yeah. And then I learned it was for students. And that's kind of, how I got that tip that this is happening.
Okay.
But yeah, so they teach students how to, de-escalate conflicts, how to deal with their own trauma of living in communities that are so affected by this. Like you said, instead of settling, conflicts with any sort of violence, it's how to talk through things, emotional maturity. And honestly, I stopped by with Adam, one of our photojournalists here, one of their summer programs, which is called the Summer Workforce and Social Justice Program, where they had over 400 students apply to be a part of it, and they could only accept around 30.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I was just struck, honestly, by the maturity of all these students. I chatted with some of them, and they had really, profound things to say about their experiences, and they also played games, and it was fun. But you could tell that they really wanted to be there, and they, they had this one activity where they went around a circle, and anonymously they had written a problem they needed help with on a note card, and then they passed them around and all read it out loud, and then gave feedback to one another. And, the problems ranged from cyberbullying to body image to losing loved ones. And they truly had, really deep comments and empathetic things to share with one another.
Yeah, I think it's easy for older folks to not realize what these kids are living through. It's much different than what I lived through as a child, and you're younger than me, but probably different than what you experienced as growing up. The social media pressures, the body shaming, the cyberbullying. There's been bullying, unfortunately, forever, but it's a little different when people can reach right into your bedroom on a phone and attack you that way. So, all right. So what did you? The kids that are there, what do you think brings them there? Just trying to build the skills they need to cope in this modern world? Is that what brings them there, or?
One student said his grandma forced him to go. Okay. Not for any reason other. I think that it was like, let's do this, let's learn, let's grow. But another young woman, she was a young teen. She was actually a middle schooler, so she would have been, a teenager. And she was there to build community, and she basically said that she had found a safe space, which I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but she meant it genuinely, that she was finding a safe space in the summer program, and she also wanted to get involved in the Guns Down program at school. So it's just honestly, they're building something beyond even just an opportunity to learn these skills. It's more of they're building a lifestyle, really, which is awesome.
That's good. And how many of these different programs did you come across? And there's one, Moms Against Violence? Or,
Mothers Against Murder and Columbus Children.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yes.
Which was started from a woman, Melissa Thomas St. Clair, whose son was actually killed not by a gun, but he was murdered nonetheless. And now she is advocating for people who have lived through the same thing as her. But her big push against gun violence started when she's a teacher, when one of her students killed an infant with a gun.
Oh, wow.
So that, and that was during that big surge in 2020 while people, were struggling with frustrations and the pandemic. So that is how that nonprofit came to be.
And these efforts are a mix of community-led things. The city obviously has this new Office of Violence Prevention. I guess it's not new anymore. It's 6 years old now.
Right.
But there's been a lot of efforts focused on this across the community.
Yes, which has been and they all really, it's very interconnected and collaborative, which you'd hope for in this situation, but it truly is. And everyone hypes each other up. And both of those nonprofits we just mentioned are grant recipients from the city. So it truly is a really close-knit network.
Okay. And the numbers are down. The numbers of shootings and homicides are down in Columbus.
Yes.
The reasons for that are varied probably, but hopefully this is making a difference in that front too.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
All right, so what's kind of your lasting impression of your work in the story? What's your takeaway for the public to understand where we are and helping families? Obviously the hope is to avoid it, but when these things do happen, how are we helping these families out?
Yeah. Honestly, I think when I was in the mode of writing it, it was very, intellectual. We're trying to make sure everything is, set for this. Yeah. But then it wasn't until it was done that I think I personally really felt the effects of it. And I hope that carries through to our readers, that they, like you said, they feel like they're talking to some of these people, that they're getting to know them, that we're putting, story behind some of these statistics, that it's not just a statistic, these are people's lives.
Yeah.
And then the big takeaway that from a place of trauma and just unthinkable circumstances, that people are really coming together to do the work to make their neighbors' lives better, their families' lives better, and really make something beautiful out of such a tragedy.
All right. Well, thank you, Sophia. I appreciate you reporting on this and sitting down and talk today. You can see Sophia's work on dispatch.com and in the Sunday print edition, obviously. And we appreciate all our readers and watchers of this podcast. Next week, we will be off next week. We have a special project next week running on the rise of Republicans with who are political rookies, I guess you could say, to prominent spots, and the Republican-endorsed candidate for governor, Vivek Ramaswamy. So that's a profile coming next week, and will be a special Ohio Politics Spring podcast with Haley Beatle, on that one, airing next week. So thank you all for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.